Hey, Chapel Rock friends, it is so good to see you. Well, to at least be with you. Know that we have been thinking of you and praying for you, and there is nothing in the world we would like more than just to get to be with you.
And although we cannot be with you physically, we get to be with you virtually. And so we are so excited to spend this time with you as we learn a little bit more about people in the Bible and how do we just navigate life day to day.
So, if I have not met you, I'm Amy, and I've had the privilege of getting to be at camp for the last several years, often with high schoolers and junior high, and my own children get to go and be a part of children. So, great to be with you.
And I am Candice, and I am, I guess, kind of a Chapel Rock newbie. This would have been, I believe, my third year of spending time with the youth and spending time with the staff and the families. And I'm super excited to be back with you again this summer.
So Candice and I have been asked to talk to specifically our oldest students and any of our counselors, college age. And so if you have younger children, if you are here as a parent and you're wondering, why does this seem so grown up? It's because that's the audience to which we have been asked, but you are welcome to listen in, and we appreciate anybody who's able to jump in, and hope that you are blessed as we kind of approach and we look at today in particular snags that get us in life.
And the person that we're going to be learning about snags in life will be Amos. What we know about Amos is that he was a shepherd and that he was in a city that was very, very small, but experiencing a lot of suffering. His people were experiencing suffering. And God called him to be the one to go out to those who were causing suffering and to tell them about what they were doing. And so not only is he the person who is in suffering, but he's also going to be the person to talk to those who are imposing the suffering upon the people.
So to set it in context for you, Amos as a shepherd was not trained to be a prophet. That was not his vision. He didn't go to school for it. His dad had not been a prophet. He was not the son of a prophet. But he ends up in this position, and he's from a city named Tekoa, which is just outside of Jerusalem. Now, where this matters as well is Tekoa was in the southern kingdom. This is during the divided kingdom. Israel is up north. Judah is down south. And so not only is he from a smaller area outside of the big city being a shepherd, but he's surrounded by other countries as well. And what we see throughout the book of Amos, and we're going to invite you to read with us all week long. Yes. Amos is only 9 chapters long, so you should be reading with us. But especially in chapters 1 and 2, we hear about those other countries and the suffering that's going on in them and how God is going to address it. So if you can picture Amos, Tekoa, it's a little bit like maybe, instead of even just being from Phoenix, maybe he's from like Tolleson. It's a little more rural. Maybe there's some cotton fields going on, and say, hey, the smog that you guys create that send over to, we're struggling with it over here. He's in a smaller community looking at a bigger community and a prominent community and a community that doesn't actually see themselves as privileged. In fact, they're pretty much unaware that they are privileged and of the suffering that's all around them.
Exactly.
And so Amos comes along and says, they're suffering. In fact, he starts out, and in chapter 6, verses 1 through 6, he says, we got some issues with ethics. Ethics in general, it's an issue.
Yeah, and other issues that they're having are oppression of the poor.
So in chapter 2, verses 6 and 7, and chapter 5, 12, oppression of the poor. Then we get to any justice. We know something's gone wrong. There's a system in place, but it's not working for everybody. And we read that in chapter 2, verse 7, and chapter 5, verse 7, 12, and then 6, 12.
Absolutely. And other issues that they're having are with sexual immorality. And you're going to find more information there in chapters 2, verse 7.
Religious abuse. People who are saying things in the name of Yahweh and having that come down hard on others in chapter 2, verse 8.
And also issues with violence happening both within smaller units of families, and violence happening on a major level in the surrounding countries. And you'll find that in chapter 3, verse 10.
Idolatry shows up in chapter 5, verse 26.
And then we see corrupt business in chapter 8 and verse 5.
And in chapter 5, verse 13, it says, the times were evil. There was suffering. Amos understood suffering personally, but he also looked around and he knew that there were others who were innocent, who were doing the best they could. And in story after story, community after community, country after country, there was suffering. There were snags. There were things that were tripping him up and wondering, Yahweh, God, where are you? And so that's where we end today. It's a hard place to end, but we have to say it openly and honestly to be able to move forward to the next conversation when we get to move beyond the snags.
And let us always be reminded that just like Amos, that God is calling us to be those who speak out when there are snags that are going on. And we don't have to be someone with a specific title. We don't have to be from a specific place, but simply we are all those who carry and bear the image of God, and we get to go out into the world and do this. And so like Amy said, although these are the snags and these are the really hard pieces that we go through, there is more coming this week.
We'll see you tomorrow. Blessings.
Bye, y'all.